You've heard of social networking. How about social not working? More than 500 million users log into Facebook every day, and it's a fair guess that at least a few are doing so on company time. As social media becomes a routine communications tool, just how do employers police this, and should they? Well, Eckert Siemens is helping local businesses navigate the legal issues related to the use of social media in the workplace. Allison Feldstein is a partner with Eckert Siemens, Sharon and Malott, and Andrew Cannell is a senior associate who specializes in social media legality. And welcome. Good to see both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, let's start with this. I mean, it is ubiquitous. It's kind of come out of left field in recent years. Is this something employers should be afraid of?
I don't know that employers should necessarily be afraid of social media. I think they need to be aware that their employees are actually accessing it and using it, and understand how, how the law will apply to decisions that they make with respect to their employees.
This is also new. Is the law evolving with the technology?
It's evolving to a certain extent. I think the law has been very much the same in terms of employer-employee relations. Social media is simply another aspect or another forum by which employers need to be aware as to how they're dealing with their employees. So, employers communicate and employees communicate on a day-to-day basis through email, through, they're on the internet, various other ways. The social media networks are just another way in which they're actually communicating to the public and amongst themselves.
Well, how much control does an employer have over what an employee does using the network?
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on what exactly you're talking about and where the employee is in terms of if it's an employee who's actually there and is a current employee, or it's somebody who has applied for a job but has not yet been hired. There are differences in employer control in various circumstances. One of the things that a lot of employers don't realize is this starts from the moment somebody applies for a job, and the potential for issues with social media start from that
some
moment.
Companies, I know, they like even try to screen somebody's social media profile as part of the hiring process.
That's been one of the big hot button issues lately is employers who it has been done where an employer will go to a potential employee and say, look, I want your Facebook password, or I want your Twitter password, or whatever it might be, because I want to see what you've been doing on there. And in response to that, several states have begun to pass laws prohibiting that practice, expressly prohibiting employers from requesting social media passwords and information on how to access their social media. Maryland is a good example. Maryland fairly recently enacted such a law. One of the things employers have to keep in mind with social media is not just, is this legal? Another question is this smart? And even if you're in a state where you're allowed legally to ask a potential employee for their password to access their Facebook page, what are you saying to employees and potential employees if you're asking for that? To me, that's probably a pretty big turnoff for a lot of employees and a lot of potential employees.
If it's somebody you really want to work for, you're right. Puts them in a really tough position. They might have nothing to hide, but they also feel it's their social media, it's their password, it's their privacy.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and one of the things I think we try to impress on our clients as attorneys is what's legal is obviously a consideration, but it's not the only consideration. It's by far it's far from the only consideration. There's a lot of other issues.
And, I think another issue connected to that is, as a potential employer, you may end up with information that you don't otherwise want. Certainly there are, as Andy talked about, there are the states that have enacted these password laws that prohibit employers from actually requesting that information. But there are various federal and state laws that prohibit employers from asking for or obtaining certain information during the pre-employment process. So information regarding potential disabilities, information regarding an individual's age, all of those types of things, marital status. And so as an employer, you don't want to be obtaining that information. Thereby, you could be accused of actually using that information and making your employment decisions. So we think employers should be wary about even wanting that information in the first place when dealing with the individual at the pre-employment phase.
What about the difference, I would think if an employee's on the job, an employer can probably at least say, look, you're using company equipment, use your common sense, don't be stupid. I mean, this is a business. But what if they get offline, or they're outside business and they're using their Facebook page, or they're tweeting about what a screwed up company they work for?
Again, it's kind of a balancing act. Employers do have some control, especially if an employee is getting on Facebook or on Twitter. and is really saying negative, potentially defamatory things about the company or about other company employees, perhaps engaging in unlawful harassment through Facebook, Twitter, other social media platforms. The one thing employers have to be wary of is the primary law that applies here is the National Labor Relations Act. And when people hear National Labor Relations Act, a lot of times they're thinking, I don't have a union in my workplace, I don't have to worry about that. The fact is all employers have to worry about that, whether union or not. And if an employee is making negative comments about the company, but the comments relate to complaints about their wages, for example. We don't get paid enough. My employer's really cheap. They don't give us enough money. Complaints about job conditions, anything really related to job conditions, hours that they work, you know, what it's like on the job in terms of how they're treated by supervisors, all of that stuff, the National Labor Relations Board has taken the position that all of that is protected by the National Labor Relations Act. So for an employer, you have to look at it and determine, okay, are they doing something that they're allowed to do? Are they complaining about wages? Are they complaining about conditions of employment? Or is this something that's just, it's unlawful harassment, it's defamatory, this has no real legitimate purpose as an employee? But these are all very, very difficult issues. There are no black and white areas here. This is all very, very much in the gray.
These are big decisions, and you probably do need really good advice. Well, we could go on. We're going to have the two of you back and pick up these subjects one at a time, because it really is fascinating stuff. Allison Feldstein and Andrew Cannell from Eckerd Siemens, thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And next up, a little more dollars and cents. Stay with us.